The Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana National Gas Company, Dr. Ben K.D. Asante, has emphasized the need for Africa and Ghana, for that matter, to consider internal sources to finance its capital project during the transition period, as well as to build the requisite intellectual capacity to manage such projects. He said this at the company's 2023 Stakeholders Roundtable discussion held in Accra on Tuesday, 4th July, under the theme Embracing New Gas Markets in the Energy Transition Discourse, the Role of Stakeholders. In an exclusive interview with Energy Ghana TV, Dr. Asante noted that Ghana Gas and the ministry are championing this initiative to ensure the smooth realization of a country's energy transition.
Within the context of Ghana, Ghana Gas and the ministry are championing this. Now, what we want to do is to make sure that as we talk about moving from fossil fuels to renewable energy sources, we actually have the requisite intellectual capital as well as the requisite intellectual financial resources to be able to meet the target. So two things, the financial investment as well as the intellectual capital are required to be able to move from the fossil fuel-based energy sources to the renewable sources. So that is what Ghana Gas is really pushing for. In terms of the infrastructure, we are looking to make sure that where we find those resources, and gas being the transition fuel, where we find gas in commercial quantities, we have the requisite infrastructure to link those sources to the market. Now, the market currently is mostly just for power generation, but we're also looking at other non-power uses of gas. I mentioned gas for heating. So heating, say in the industry such as ceramics, cement, pulp and paper, and of course, I would even say things like using gas as a feedstock for fertilizer, which would be the agrochemical industry, as well as the petrochemical industry, to manufacture of urea, methanol, and whatnot. So gas will have a whole plethora of uses besides just energy use. And that is what Ghana Gas will be championing. We've been in discussions with the Ministry of Railway Development, where gas will be used for vehicular transport, for fuel for the internal combustion engines. And not just the rail cars, but even our own cars. Your car, my car, can also use gas in the compressed form, what we call compressed natural gas, to be able to fuel our cars. And I think that is something we look forward to.
In a presentation to stakeholders, Dr. Asante underscored the critical role of natural gas as a safe transitional fuel in the country's energy transition agenda. He said, it is important for Ghana to significantly balance environmental responsiveness and economic impact in the national efforts toward the transition to a cleaner energy future, and subsequently called for a gradual approach in this regard. According to him, natural gas is considered globally the transition fuel of choice on account of its low emissions and cost relative to other forms of fossil fuels. He stressed that natural gas is the fossil fuel with the lowest carbon count and therefore the most appropriate candidate as a transitional fuel towards global decarbonization. Meanwhile, the Deputy Minister for Energy, Honorable Andrew Ejapamesa, commended this initiative by Ghana Gas and appreciated all energy sector players embracing the energy transition. He touched on ongoing developments in the sector and the huge financial investments government needs to realize the ambitious 2070 targets. He further called for the stakeholders' active involvement and contributions to energy transition to realize the clean agenda. Representatives from the various sector institutions present also noted that the issue of energy transition is still evolving, thus the need for the current discourse. Head of Government Relations at Ghana Gas, Madam Augustina Asariose, explained to Energy Ghana TV that the stakeholder roundtable was long overdue.
Like my chief executive alluded, it was a long time coming. This has been on our table for a very long time, but I guess the timing wasn't right. We realized that during our various engagements with our stakeholders, we saw some form of a disconnect. That, we are conversing all right, but not really with each other. And we also identified some gaps that we felt that needed to be addressed, especially going into the energy transition, going into the challenges that we are facing in the industry, most especially compounded by the issues, with Russia and Ukraine. So as a country, we really need to think about what is the future of our energy. so that we won't find ourselves want. So we felt like, look, in order for you to make headway, you first need to bring the critical minds together, critical stakeholders that drives the policy, to enable you to really put some form of a direction in place to know really where you're going.
Chairman of the prestigious Ghana Energy Awards panel, lawyer Kwame Jantuah, has entreated prospective nominees of the 2023 edition to ensure their nominations are clear and related to the theme. He was speaking at the media launch of the 7th Ghana Energy Awards in Accra, which officially opened nominations under the theme for this year, Ghana's Energy Transition Framework, Sector Institutions as Building Blocks for the 2030 to 2040 targets. Lawyer Jantuah encouraged representatives of the various sector institutions and organizations to let their nomination applications be clear, eligible, and easily comprehensible, devoid of any form of ambiguity, and directly linked to the categories for which they are submitted. He added that, though some of the categories may require nominees to indicate what projects and programs that they have done in the past, they should, however, ensure their entries show explicitly their efforts at transitioning or complementing the national targets to move into an era of clean energy. The Ghana Energy Awards scheme is an initiative to recognize the innovation and excellence of individuals, institutions, and organizations in the country's energy sector. It is endorsed by the Ministry of Energy and the World Energy Council Ghana, with validation by Mazars. This year, the GEA features 23 competitive categories, including the Energy Personality of the Year, Male and Female, Chief Executive of the Year, Power and Petroleum, Energy Company of the Year, Rising Star, and others. Nominations into the 2023 Ghana Energy Awards are open until September 29. Prospective candidates can send their entries to the awards website at www.ghanaanergyawards.com. The Chamber of Petroleum Consumers has predicted a slight increase in fuel prices for the pricing window of July. According to COPEC Executive Secretary Duncan Amoah, fuel and diesel prices will rise by 2.6% and 2.4% at various stations. He said that the rise in petroleum products was caused by the weakening of the local currency, the cedi, against the principal trading currency, the dollar. Meanwhile, the Institute for Energy Security has predicted that diesel and liquefied petroleum gas prices will reduce marginally in the first 2 weeks of July. The IES ascribed the small decline to numerous changes in commodity prices on the worldwide fuel market, which will have a favorable impact on the local market. The plan of development for Pecan Energies, the operator of the Deepwater Tano Cape 3 Points block offshore Ghana, has been approved by the government through the Ministry of Energy. According to a statement published by the corporation on 3 July 2023, the DWT CTP block has the potential to boost the Ghanaian economy by roughly $10 billion. President and CEO of the Africa Finance Corporation, the new owners of Pecan Energies, AFC, through its wholly owned subsidiary, AFC Equity Investment Limited, said, "The future of the Pecan and other associated fields on the block shines bright, bringing with it promising economic prospects and sustainable growth opportunities for Ghana and its people." Chief Executive Officer of Pecan Energies Ghana Limited, Khadija Amoah, on her part said, "The approval of the POD is a testament to the perseverance and dedication shown by the Pecan Energies team to the project. The POD outlines an overarching plan for the DWT CTP contract areas, phase development and production of resources. Phase 1A and Phase 1B of the phase development will commence with the Pecan field. The Pecan field is the largest of several discoveries in the contract area, with 268 million barrels expected to be produced in Phase 1A plus 1B, with a capex of $3.5 billion. In total, it is estimated that all discoveries in the DWT CTP contract area have a recoverable resource potential of 550 million barrels. According to the World Bank, Nigeria will save more than 21 trillion naira, an equivalent of $28 billion, in 2 years by eliminating gasoline subsidies. The savings will assist President Bola Tinubu's government reduce its record budget deficit and debt service load, which will exceed revenue in 2022, according to a report from the Washington-based lender. According to the report, the budget deficit will be reduced to 3.9% of GDP by 2025, down from 5.1% this year. By removing the fuel cap, Nigeria's state oil company will be able to export crude instead of reserving it to pay for subsidies. Foreign exchange regulations would be eased, allowing the government to convert offshore revenues at market prices rather than overvalued rates, according to the bank. It forecasts that Africa's largest economy will grow by 4% starting in 2024 if urgently needed reforms are implemented. Visit energyghana.com or energyghana.com for more on these stories. Energy Brief is proudly brought to you by Airport View Hotel.
Energy Ghana TV. Local in focus, global in perspective.